chase, but it rolls foul. Duggar on the season for the Falmouth Commodores, a 2013 Cotuit Kettleer, hitting at .314, 32 hits and 102 at-bats. No home runs, he's driven in 9, has drawn 15 walks, that leads the Commodores, and has a .412 OBP. Duggar made highlights at Cape League Scout Day at Fenway this past Tuesday by running the fastest 60-yard dash. 0-1, breaking ball at 79, hits the low outside corner for a strike. 0-2 the count on Duggar.
And 3 Commodores in the lineup today, Duggar, Newman, and Gillikin. All 3 stayed extra time considering their top prospects.
0-2, fastball misses away. Count to 1-2 on Steven Duggar.
It's funny because I know Duggar and Kevin Newman are tight, and we've said it multiple times on the broadcast as Leftwich fires here.
1-2, fastball misses high. That one tops out at 92. Count even up at 2-2 on Steven Duggar.
I was going to say that Kevin Newman's host mother, Stacy, she was informing me that these 3 had to stay longer considering their top prospects, so she was mentioning how grueling it was to wait around.
2-2, Sky down the left field line, hooking foul. Norwood goes over towards the bullpen and makes the catch for out number 2. 2 batters, 2 flyouts to John Norwood in left, who I talked with a little bit before the game, and he's excited to be out and playing left field today, and it's really a questionable decision why he hasn't, because I was at Cape League Scout Day, you weren't, and of all of the Kettleer outfielders who were making throws from the outfield, Norwood clearly had the best arm. There was no question about that. Here's Kevin Newman, the Cape League batting leader, laces it out to center field on the first pitch. Jackson glides, moves over to his right, makes the catch for out number 3. 3 up, 3 down. Kettleers coming to bat in the bottom of the first. You're locked into Kettleers baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network, Comcast Channel 99, from Barnstable all the way to Chatham, and Channel 13 in Sandwich. Stay with us, friends.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. The Commodores have taken the field behind Casey Mulholland, the right-hander from South Florida. Here's the Kettleers lineup. John Norwood leads off. He plays left. Jackson Glides is in center. He hits second. Jordan Ebert hits third. He's at second. Trace Barrera cleans up. He's doing the catching. Logan Taylor hits fifth and plays short. Rhett Wiseman is out in right field. He's hitting sixth. Jamison Fisher at first. He hits seventh. Brendan Hendricks hits eighth and plays third. And batting ninth, DHing for the first time this year, is Jake Fincher.
Defensively, behind Mulholland, left to right in the outfield, Boomer White, Sam Gillikin, and Steven Duggar. Around the horn across the infield, Connor Hale, Kevin Newman, Trevor Morrison, and Jake Madsen. Cam O'Brien does the catching today for Mulholland.
Casey Mulholland, the right-hander from South Florida, making his second start against the Kettleers. On the season, Mulholland, whose real name is Charles, he goes by Casey, is 1-3 with a 2.92 ERA. His last appearance was a relief appearance, a one-inning scoreless stint against the Chatham Anglers. 24 and 2/3 innings pitched, 26 hits, 13 runs, 8 of them earned, 9 walks, and 18 strikeouts. Here's John Norwood, nicknamed Dice because he's always rolling. And he was certainly rolling at Cape League Day at Fenway. He hit 5 home runs over the Green Monster. He was wowed by scouts alike. Righty-righty matchup. First pitch on the way to Norwood. Fastball misses high and in. Tops at 93 from Mulholland, and we're underway in the bottom of the first. Norwood, slightly open stance. 6'2", 210-pound outfielder from Vanderbilt, hits it on the ground, right to Kevin Newman. Newman goes back on it, fires across, in time to get Norwood. A hard-hit ground ball, but right at Kevin Newman, whose rejection from Team USA is probably the best thing that could have happened to the Falmouth Commodores. Brings up Jackson Glines out in center field tonight from the University of Michigan. Glines is 6 for his last 15. He hit a home run on Monday night in the Kettleers' last game against the Orleans Firebirds. First pitch to Glines, fastball misses low. 1-0 on Glines, who you heard from on Hot Off the Kettle today. We were both distracted by the appearance of Peter Gammons during our interview. 1-0 on the way, fastball at the knees, taken for a strike, count even up at 1-1.
And Glines has seen the ball well in his last 5 games, 6 of his last 15, including that big game against Orleans, like you said.
1-1 offering on the way. Glines swinging a miss. Slider at 87, dips out of the zone. Count to 1-2 on Glines. Jordan Ebert stands on deck for the Kettleers. He's had a big first couple of games since arriving from Auburn. 1-2 offering on the way from Mulholland. Glines slices it foul past third base coach Mike Roberts. Roberts walks over, and now he'll jog over to get the ball. Roberts' patented upward standing jog. Mulholland winds, kicks, delivers the 1-2. Glines slices it into the Kettleers' dugout down the third base side. Fifth pitch at the at-bat upcoming to Glines. Do the 1-2 again right here. Fastball misses high. Count even up at 2. These teams will not meet again until August 2nd, when the Kettleers will host these Falmouth Commodores, and then they will finish the season August 3rd at Arnie Allen Diamond. 2-2 offering on the way to Glines. Glines pops it up. Shallow right field. Trevor Morrison, the second baseman, settles under it. Makes the catch for out number 2.
Simple case of Glines just getting under it results in an infield pop-up. And so far for both squads, including Mulholland and Leftwich, quick starts, getting the first 2 outs. Of course, Leftwich, a 1-2-3 start in the top of the first.
Brings up Jordan Ebert, the Kettleers second baseman from Auburn, who had a big impact in his first game against the Wyatt Red Sox back on Sunday, and he's hit on the first pitch and sprints down to first. So the first base runner comes on a hit by pitch. A two-out man on for Trace Barrera. Barrera, the catcher from the University of Texas, won the College Home Run Derby in Omaha after the College World Series was over. Barrera, on the season, has already hit 3 home runs in just 24 at-bats. He has 7 hits, so almost half of his hits have come via the long ball.
And 2 of the 3 home runs have come against the Falmouth Commodores.
Mulholland in the stretch. Short lead at first for Ebert. First pitch swinging from Barrera. Fouls out of play over the first base grandstand. Count to 0-1.
Barrera 4 for 8 against Commodore pitching. A pair of home runs and 4 RBIs.
The last home run he hit made it a 7-2 ball game. Back the last time these two teams played. Ground ball to short. Newman ranges to his right, fires to first, in time to get Trace Barrera. A 2-out base runner, but the Kettleers do nothing with it. We're through 1 at Lowell Park. No score. Keep it locked on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College. Located in Milton, Massachusetts, it offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. The Kettleeers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleeers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Shadow Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleeers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleeers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Shadow Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years.
4, 5, and 6 due up for the Falmouth Commodores against Luke Leftwich. Connor Hale, the third baseman from LSU, steps to the plate. Connor Hale this season hitting over 300 against the Kettleeers. Overall, he's hitting at .317. 3 home runs. He's driven in 17. First pitch on the way to Hale. Fastball misses high and away for ball 1. Hale, a returning Falmouth Commodore, transferred to LSU after last season where he played at the State College of Florida. Hale pops the 1-0 up into shallow center. Coming over from center, Jackson Glines in front of Rhett Wiseman and right makes the catch for the first out of the inning. 4 outs for Luke Leftwich, all by the flyout.
And that, of the 4 total, may have been the least hit hard ball. I mean, the one down the left field line that Stephen Duggar hit was not an easy catch, so John Norwood wasn't given a huge applause, but made a nice grab.
First pitch swinging, Cameron O'Brien opposite field to left field. First base hit of the ball game by either side. O'Brien, a 1-out single, brings up Boomer White, who has been far from boomering it since he announced his intent to transfer from TCU to Texas A&M. Over his last 9 games, White hitting 5 for 31. That goes for a 161 clip. And this is a guy who led TCU in average this season. Righty-righty matchup. Barrera sets up outside. Pitch on the way to White. Curveball that misses inside for ball 1. That's never a good sign. When your catcher sets up to the outer half of the plate and the pitch misses the inner corner. Missed communication by both sides. 1-0. Fastball misses low and away. Counts 2-0 on White. Overall this season, White hitting at .205. No home runs, he's driven in 2, but despite the .205 average, a .367 OBP. Small lead at first for Cameron O'Brien. Jamison Fisher holds him on. Pitch hit up the middle, right to Logan Taylor, flips to second for 1. On to first, double play. A 6-4-3 double play ends the inning, and the Commodores force out their runner at second. We're through 1.5. No score from Lowell Park. You're locked into Kettleer Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Shadow Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleeers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleeers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Shadow Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleeers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleeers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. The Kettleeers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleeers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
5, 6, and 7 due up for Katuitt against Casey Mulholland. Logan Taylor, shortstop from Texas A&M, steps to the plate. Taylor on the season for the Kettleeers. He's the only Kettleeer to play in every ball game. This is his 30th game played. 27 for 104 on the season, a .260 clip. 3 home runs, that's tied for the team lead. And 14 runs driven in, first pitch swinging. Base hit up the middle. Logan Taylor has the Kettleeers' first hit of the ball game. Brings up Rhett Wiseman.
And Logan Taylor, he's another hitter for the Kettleeers. We talked about Jackson Glines being red hot. Logan Taylor, 8 for his last 21 for the Kettleeers.
Another guy who's been pretty hot of late is Rhett Wiseman, 7 for 19. That's a .368 clip over his last 5 games. First pitch on the way to left-handed hitting Wiseman, the right fielder from Vanderbilt. A fastball and misses Lone away for ball 1. The Kettleeers this season have actually hit the Falmouth Commodores fairly well. Or rather, the Falmouth Commodores have hit the Kettleeers pretty well. Now Logan Taylor is picked off. Mulholland throws to first. Then Kevin Newman comes over, catches the ball, and tags out Logan Taylor. And those are the mistakes that you and I have talked about on and off the air. The Kettleeers, in the last game against the Wareham Gatemen, or actually I should say the last game against the Orleans Firebirds, base running cost them a run. Back, I can't remember what inning it was, but Brett Lang tagged out a runner at home on a ground ball. He faked the throw to first. Jordan Ebert rounded the bag at third too far and got caught in between third and home. Time called as Wiseman steps out. 1-0 the count on Rhett. Line kick and the 1-0 on the way from Mulholland. Rhett check swings. Appeal down to third. And Bill Fisher, check that, get Jim Kelly, says no.
And that was back in the 5th inning on Monday night. A play at the plate in which first baseman David Thompson went home with it. And you're right, that's one of many mistakes we've seen.
2-0, Wiseman blasted deep to right field. Going back on it, the right fielder, Steven Duggar, and he makes the catch in front of the fence. A long drive from Rhett Wiseman. And the homerless streak continues. Rhett Wiseman hit 4 home runs last season for the Kettleeers. He hit none this season at Vanderbilt and has none so far here in the Cape League season.
The home runs we've seen from left-handed hitters such as Austin Byler and Brendan Hendricks, they've hit it more towards the bullpen in right field where the Falmouth Commodores sit. Wiseman tried to hit that ball to the deepest part of right center, similar to what Jackson Glines did last week.
First pitch slider misses low and into Jamison Fisher, the first baseman from Southeast Louisiana, for ball 1. The Kettleeers right now have 2 active catchers, Fisher, who rarely catches, and Trace Barrera. Chopper right up the middle, picked up by Trevor Morrison, flips to first in time to get Jamison Fisher a leadoff single, but Logan Taylor's picked off. A long drive from Rhett Wiseman gets caught at the wall, an easy grounder to second ends the inning. We're through 2. No score. Keep it locked right here.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleears and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleears and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleears and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. Kettleears and Falmouth Commodores head-to-head for the fourth time this season. Greg Moraz and Brendan Glasheen here with you on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. 7, 8, and 9. Leftwich has retired, not in order completely, but has gone the minimum so far. 1-0 on Madsen, a fastball outside. Jake Madsen from Ohio University, left-handed batter, the pitch. 1-0, change up, misses low and in. The count, 2 balls, no strikes on Madsen. Hitting .355 on the year, 22 of 62. 1 home run, 12 runs batted in. 2-0 pitch, fastball, clocks the outside corner for a strike, 2-1. Madsen tied for third most on the Commodore roster with 12 RBIs. The 2-1, slice to the left side. It knocks a window out just to the left of us. Wow. There goes that passenger side window. Doesn't stop the kids from getting the baseball. Leftwich, the 2-2 pitch. Fastball waved on and missed, strike 3. First strikeout today for Luke Leftwich, a fastball away to Madsen. 1 down at the top of the third.
Poor window. Like we always say. And now the owner of the car, the kids have brought the owner of the car over, and he is now examining his window. Poor guy, I just got my car back from the auto body shop, and looks like he's going to have to send his in there too.
Here's Sam Gilligan, takes a fastball, low and away, 1 ball, no strikes. Gilligan hitting .272, 22 of 81, 1-0 from Leftwich. Change up, knocks the outside corner, knee high, 1-1. One ball, 1 strike. Wind up, 1-1. Another slicer to the left side. It goes in to another car. Wow. Attention fans, move your vehicles at once because the baseballs are sensing some cars this afternoon. 1-2 pitch on the way from Leftwich. Change up, struck again just behind us. Lots of foul ball action, not on the field, but behind the field into the parking lot.
We were just told by our beat writer, Matt Schneidman, that the first car that broke the window, I'll finish the story later.
1-2, slice to the right, caught right on the line by Jamison Fisher. Basically hugged the ball like a teddy bear when he brought that one in. 2 down.
The window that was broken actually belongs to the lady who is renting the VIP booth here today in the Arnold Mycock Press Box building and who threw out the first pitch. So, well, that's kind of bad luck.
Hopefully they don't head home early as Morrison steps up. First pitch swing over to Fisher on the ground to the right side. Flips over to Leftwich covering. Tags the bag with the right foot. Retires the side. Leftwich has faced the minimum to the first 2.5 innings. 1-2-3 first inning, 1-2-3 third inning. We'll go to the home half of the third. No score between the Kettleers and Commodores on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
Last of the third, a scoreless game between the Commodores and Kettleers, meeting number 4 in the season. Hendricks, Fincher, and Norwood. The expected batters for Cotuit, each side with just one hit. Casey Mulholland returns to the hill for Falmouth. Holds the glove out in front, wiggles his hands inside the glove. The first pitch to Hendricks, a fastball low and away, but catches the corner. No balls, one strike on the third baseman from the University of San Francisco. Mulholland into the windup, kicks and deals. 0-1 on the ground, hit towards short. Newman on the run, fields it on the run, throw to first base in time to get Hendricks. One down to start the third. A fast-paced ball game early on between Falmouth and Cotuit. 2 of the 3 matchups this year have been decided by 1 run. The third decided by just 2 runs, the most recent back on July 11th. Mulholland into the windup, first pitch to Fincher. Change up at 82 in the outside half. No balls, 1 strike. Once Jake Fincher nabbed the top batting average in the Cape League, it quickly went backwards. 0-1 pitch. Another big swing and a miss, a curveball that breaks left to right for Mulholland. 0-2. Fincher, 1 for his last 18. Was just in front of Falmouth shortstop Kevin Newman. Now Newman has the lead once again. 0-2, popped up into shallow center. A long run for Willikin. Comes in and makes the catch in shallow left center. 2 down. And here's Mr. Dice Norwood. John 0 for 1, a ground out over to third. Big practice cut. Kettleers have scored their most runs this season in the third inning. First pitch to Norwood, fastball, outside corner. A steady diet so far from Mulholland, 0-1. 24 runs scored in the third inning. The next highest, 21 in the second, 0-1. Norwood takes another fastball at 91 from Casey, the right-handed pitcher from South Florida. Has been all over the place. Transferred from State College in Florida last year. Ole Miss his freshman year. 1-1, waved at and missed. Norwood out in front of a changeup. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Scoreless game here at Lowell Park. 1 hit apiece between Falmouth and Cotuit. So a freshman stint at Ole Miss. Sophomore stint at State College. Mulholland, a junior this past season, pitched at South Florida. Fastball up and in, 2-2 to John. Mulholland pitches behind Jimmy Herget, pitcher from Bourne. Slice to the right side, falls in front of Duggar, a base hit. John Norwood on with a 2-out single here in the third inning. Waited back on it, and last-minute decision to give it a hack, and he hit it right over the head of second baseman Trevor Morrison. Second single for the Kettleers. Here's Jackson Glines. Center fielder from Michigan, 0 for 1 today, a pop-out to Morrison over at second. Mulholland holds below the belt, first pitch. Fastball low and away, says home plate umpire Steve Leonardo. 1 ball, no strikes. Norwood, a 5-step lead off the first base bag as Madsen holds him on. With the right glove flashing, he gets the throw over from Mulholland. Jackson Glines starting his second straight game in center field. Once he got to the Kettleers after he being released by the Brewster Whitecaps, started primarily in right field, then moved to left field when Rhett Wiseman arrived. Now he's played in center for 2 straight. 1-0 pitch. Popped up to the left side. A long run for White and Hale down the left field line. It falls in front, just to the left of the left field line, foul. A break for Glines. It evens the count at 1-1. Mulholland had Tommy John surgery 2 weeks after a pop in his UCL, which came in his last start in high school. So, really messed up that whole thing. Throw over to first. And that's what made, or actually has made his college path very interesting. A lot of changing around. 1-1 pitch, Norwood's off. The throw down from second base. Not in time. Wow. Close play at second. Jim Kelly, third base umpire, who moves over with runners on base. That glove flashed by Kevin Newman was right in front of the second base bag. Norwood slid right into it, but called safe. No real debate from Newman. 2-1 pitch on the way to Glines. Fastball. Tails away. 3 balls, 1 strike. Norwood at second. 2 down, third inning. No score between Katuitt and Falmouth. Mulholland stares in, gets his sign from O'Brien. Comes to the set, gives Norwood a look twice. 3-1 pitch. Fastball upstairs, just above the belt. Ball 4. Norwood holds at second. Glines down to first. First and second with 2 outs for Jordan Ebert. So Glines reaches base for the first time today. Here's Ebert. He's been off to a hot start with the Kettleers. Has played in just 2 games. Of course, the last time we were here at Lowell Park, a grand slam in his second at bat with the Kettleers. Fastball grounded over towards short. Newman in the hole, on the run again, throws it away from his body. Throw to first, gets away from Madsen. Norwood trots in to score. Here comes Glines. He's going to try the throw from Madsen. Not in time. He's under the tag. 2-0 Kettles. Ebert all the way down to third base on the missed ball by Madsen. Looked like a fast-paced game right out of the gate. Kevin Newman, a play that not many shortstops can make, but one he's made before. A throw on the run as his body moved away from the base. The throw wide from Madsen. He can't make the play. They're going to score in error. On Kevin Newman, the shortstop. First pitch swinging by Barrera, hit to Newman once again, this time right to him. His throw to first in time to get Trace Barrera for the third out. Kettleers get 2 on a mishap between Newman and Madsen from short to first. Runners scoring Norwood and Glines. We'll head to the 4th inning here at Lowell Park. 2-0 Kettleers on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Barnstable-Mashpee, Channel 99, and Channel 13 Sandwich.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleears and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleears and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
Top of the fourth inning at Lowell Park, 2-0 Kettleears. On the Cape Cod Baseball League Network, Falmouth sends top of the order to face Luke Leftwich on for his fourth inning of work. First pitch swinging by Uresti. Shoots the gap in right center. Wiseman's on the run. It one hops the fence. Now to the bottom of the fence. It rolls to the right side. Into second base goes Uresti. A leadoff double off Luke Leftwich. The Commodores look to get themselves back in business, trailing 2-0.
And confirmation on the scoring decision at the end of the last half inning. It is a single and an error. The error allowed Norwood and Glines to come in and score. Ebert would have beaten the run anyway. Both runs are unearned, so there's no RBI given to Jordan Ebert on that play.
So Ebert's average certainly goes up, but not an RBI added to what he already has in 6. A grand slam here at Lowell Park a few days ago in his first game for the Kettleears against the Wareham Gatemen. Change up on the knees for a strike to Steven Duggar. No balls, 1 strike. Runner at second, Matt Uresti. As Leftwich stares in with the glove leaning on his left thigh, making his second start for Mike Roberts this season. A stare back, 0-1 pitch. Change up, cuts across, low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hendricks in on the third base line. On the grass now. Jamison Fisher takes some back steps to be even with Ebert towards second. As Uresti's at first. The 1-1 offering coming from Leftwich. Fastball high and outside. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Leftwich had been extremely efficient up until this point. He had faced the minimum, only giving up 1 hit, but immediately retiring Cameron O'Brien on Boomer White's double play ground ball. But Leftwich has left the ball up this inning, and Uresti's ball that was hit out to right center field was about the hardest hit ball that anybody on both sides has hit all day other than Wiseman's flyout.
2-1 pitch. Sliced down the right field line, foul. Left-handed hitter Steven Duggar from Clemson, 0 for 1 with a fly out to left field. John Norwood made a nice grab just by the Kettleears bullpen outside the chain link fence. 2 balls, 2 strikes with nobody out in the top of the fourth. A leadoff double from Matt Uresti. Tying run at the plate in Duggar. 2-0 Kettleears early on. 2-2. Shot to the left into the parking lot once again. The foul balls to the parking lot have slowed down a little bit, but the first foul ball that was hit into the parking lot today by a Falmouth Commodore hitter was hit into the passenger side window of the people using the VIP box, and it's amazing. They must have left because I haven't heard any yelling and screaming a few doors down. 2-2. Fastball hit to the third base side. Hendricks to the dive. It goes through the hole, a base hit. Uresti holds at third. A long turn at first from Duggar. First and third. Nobody out for Kevin Newman.
That was a play that it looked like Hendricks had made it initially. He dove for it. The ball from our vantage point disappeared, but But then you see it pop out from under his glove. I don't think Uresti thought that ball was going to get through because he was not completely off on the pitch. But John Norwood has the best arm of anybody on the team out in left field, and it was a good thing that Uresti, for the sake of Falmouth's sake, didn't even try on Norwood because it would not have even been a play.
It's funny you say that because the Fenway Scout Day at Fenway Park in Boston, as it turns out, they usually don't do fielding. And they allowed fielding this year as Leftwich faces Newman. Off on the first pitch, Duggar. Barrera's going to go down to second base. Tag applied from Jordan Ebert, but not in time. Uresti holds at third base, so now it's second and third, a stolen base for Duggar. But you mentioned John Norwood's arm, and two things. Number one, we haven't seen much of him in the field. This is just his second start in left field. He was in left field against Harwich last week due to a scratch for Jackson Glines. But they add fielding. You had the luxury of being at Fenway yesterday, and to make that judgment that he has the best arm means probably no way Uresti's going. 1-0, change up low in the dirt to Newman, the shortstop from Arizona.
He clearly has the best arm. It's not even close. There's nobody else on this team. Maybe Jake Fincher has a better arm than John Norwood, but I mean,
second and third, bases with two Commodores on him, change up low and in, 3-0. Uresti's at third, Duggar's at second, corners in for the Kettleears. Outfield remains straight away. Rhett Wiseman shied towards center field, a big gap down the right field line, 3-0. Newman looks at a fastball at 88, over the heart of the plate, 3-1.
Vince Fiore starting to loosen in the bullpen for the Kettleears, and while Luke Leftwich has been great to this point, he's in a pickle here.
Both these teams fighting for second and third in the Western Division. Every game really matters at this point. 3-1, called a strike. Newman thought he had ball four. Takes a big practice cut outside the right-handed batting box. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Second and third, nobody out, though, for the Commodores in a 2-0 game. The Kettleears with the lead. 3-2. Change up, misses away, ball 4. Newman takes the free pass. He's at first. Uresti remains at third. Duggar stays at second. Bases loaded, nobody out for Connor Hale.
Connor Hale is a guy that has got a lot of pop for somebody who isn't huge, but now if you're Mike Roberts, you look at the way he's aligning the infield. Taylor and Ebert are back at short and second. The corners are in, which means they're going to go for the double play and sacrifice the run at third, Uresti, should he come in.
First pitch change up on the low inside half to Connor Hale, third baseman from LSU. Uresti's at third, Duggar's at second, Newman's at first. 0-1 pitch from Leftwich. Fastball, cuts across home plate on the outside corner, 0-2. Connor Hale has only had one at-bat this year for the Commodores with the bases loaded. Had an RBI walk. A slight open stance. Leftwich, a deep sigh, comes to the set, the 0-2. Change up low and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Still nobody out in the 4th inning. Corners in for the Kettleears. Outfield still remains in normal depth. 1-2 from Leftwich. Fastball hit towards the middle. Caught on the line by Taylor. Tag second base. Double play. Big pair of outs right there for Leftwich. Uresti remains at third. Newman stays at first.
Talk about that for convenience. That ball looked like it was heading up the middle for a base hit. Logan Taylor anticipates where it's going on the line, is able to nab it right out of midair, and that's very similar to the situation that the Kettleears faced the first time they went to Bourne when Brendan Hendricks ended up hitting a line drive up the middle. And Mike Roberts is coming out to the mound, and, I mean, Luke Leftwich has pitched well. I hope that he's not pulling him.
If he does pull him, the one argument Roberts could make, he is going to go to the pen. Very hard hit ball towards shortstop. Taylor does make the play, and those types of plays help pitchers get through games. But 3 2/3 of scoreless ball And Roberts is going to go with Vince Fiore out of the bullpen. We'll take a break here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. A 2-0 lead for the Kettleers. First and third for the Commodores, though, with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. Kettleers baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Barnstable Mashpee, Channel 99, and Channel 13 Sandwich.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
Luke Leftwich day done. After 44 pitches, a hard hit ball towards shortstop by Connor Hale results in 2 outs, but Mike Roberts pulls Leftwich with still first and third, 2 outs, a 2-0 Kettleers lead. Vince Fiore, the new arm, first pitch to Cam O'Brien. A curveball that works right to left over home plate for a strike on the outside corner, 0-1.
Fiore on the season, a 2-1 record, a 7.20 ERA, 15 innings pitched, 16 hits, 12 runs, all of them earned, 10 walks, and 16 strikeouts.
Uresti leads from third. Newman leads from first. 2 outs, the 0-1 pitch from Fiore. Fastball hit off the left leg of O'Brien. Count stays 0-2. O'Brien got Falmouth's and the game's first hit with 1 out in the second inning.
I understand the logic of trying to go with a lefty-lefty matchup in a big situation, but I mean, you got to let somebody like Luke Leftwich work through that situation.
0-2. Fastball misses low and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And I'm sure as many managers do, Mike Roberts, taking advantage of the new dry erase board in the dugout, he marks down if the batter's a left-handed hitter or a right-handed hitter, which makes perfect sense. But maybe considering how hard that ball was hit by Hale towards Logan Taylor made him worry to keep him in the game. 1-2, shot to the right side. It falls in the gap, a base hit. Rolls into the glove of Wiseman. Uresti scores. Newman up to second base. The throw in from Wiseman cut off by Taylor. It's a 1-run game, 2-1.
But then again, and this is no knock on Vince Fiore, but Vince Fiore has clearly been struggling. The last time he went out, he gave up 9 earned runs in 3 innings of work. Luke Leftwich has been fantastic over his last 3 appearances. I don't understand why you pull a guy. Everybody is entitled to 1 bad inning at start. It happens. That is the way that baseball works. You're entitled to 1 bad inning. So I don't understand why, if a ball gets hit that hard, Logan Taylor made a great play. Luke Leftwich had been essentially perfect his first 3 innings. Let him work through it. That's how pitchers mature, is that you let them work through their troubles. That way, when they get put in those situations in bigger time games, such as college games or professional games, they know how to pitch around that.
An interesting call, to say the least. Newman's at second, O'Brien's at first. First pitch fastball, low and away to TCU's, former TCU left fielder, Boomer White. Of course, Boomer's going to be transferring to Texas Tech. One-0. Slap to the right. Wiseman on the run. It falls foul. Not Texas Tech, Texas A&M. Same school as Logan Taylor, shortstop for the Kettleers. A 1-1 count on White. Today he grounded into a 6-4-3 double play back in the second inning. 2-1 the score here at Lowell Park. Kettleers holding to a 1-run lead here in the fourth. 1-1, hit towards the middle. Picked up by Ebert. He falls to the ground, tags the second base bag with the baseball itself. Smart play, able to gobble it up and make the out to get the Kettleers out of the half inning. We'll go to the home half of the fourth at Lowell Park. Falmouth gets one in the last of the third. 2-1 the score. Kettleers still have the lead on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. 4, 5, and 6 come to the plate for the Kettleers. 5, 6, 7. Logan Taylor takes a sweeping curveball from Casey Mulholland outside on the corner, 0-1. Taylor singled and was caught napping between first and second, was retired 1-3-6. Big swing and a miss on the 0-1 curveball, low and in. Taylor behind 0-2.
Both of Mulholland's runs unearned because of the bad throw from Kevin Newman. Again, other than the single from John Norwood, really, nothing's been hit that hard against Casey Mulholland.
0-2 pitch to Taylor. Here it is. Sweeps again, but misses low by the shoe tops. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 4 hits, 1 run, including an error for the Commodores. 3 hits, 2 runs for the Kettleers. Taylor waves the bat as Mulholland works into the windup. 1-2 from the righty. Sliced up the middle. It falls in, a base hit. Taylor's 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. Nobody out, base hit for Taylor, brings up Wiseman.
And actually should have clarified, the ball that Rhett Wiseman hit his first time up, a deep fly out to right, was probably the hardest hit ball against Casey Mulholland. But, I mean, Falmouth has no action up in their bullpen. Mike Landry, the pitching coach for Falmouth, he handles all of the pitching decisions.
Check over from Mulholland on Logan Taylor at first base.
Not sure he would have pulled Luke Leftwich either. 44 pitches through 3 2/3 innings. 1 run.
Definitely something we have to figure out. First pitch misses away. It's not like he showed any sense of injury either. There was no type of call towards the the trainer, Craig Moody, or Mike Roberts to come out and evaluate him. Leftwich was cruising right along and obviously seemed very excited after the double play by Taylor. 1-0 pitch to Wiseman, low and away. Rhett today 0 for 1, as Greg just said. A big fly out to right field in his first at-bat. Strongly resembled Jackson Glines' fly out in the 8th inning against Wareham a few days ago. An inning in which the Kettleers got 3 home runs from Norwood, Hendricks, and Barrera to beat the Gatemen 5-2. Pop up to the right side. It gets out of play. 2 balls, 1 strike on Rhett.
But the thing that you have to, and I know I harp on letting pitchers try to work through things, but how are you going to work through that type of situation at school or in minor league ball if you can't work through it in a low-pressure situation?
2-1, waved on and missed. Wiseman goes way outside, 2-2. Another thing you have to think about as well, when we get towards the end of the season, remember, we haven't seen baseball in 2 days, so Mike Roberts has the luxury of a rested staff. But what's going to happen come playoff time when you have guys going almost every night, especially in the back end of the pen? 2-2, Wiseman knocks it on the ground foul. It rolls towards the dugout of Falmouth. Count stays 2-2.
You also have to remember a lot of these guys are on innings limits by their coaches. Not all of them, but some of them. And you're going to start losing guys. So then your bullpen gets even thinner.
And based on the number of times he's seen Leftwich, I'm sure he hasn't hit that limit yet. 2-2. Wiseman doesn't even bother. A fastball way upstairs and outside. O'Brien comes out of the crouch to catch it to the left of home plate. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out in the 4th inning. 2-1 Katuitt. Vince Fiore took over for Luke Leftwich last half inning for Falmouth. Casey Mulholland has cruised right along despite the 4 Katuitt hits. 3-2 to Rhett. Fastball upstairs and away, ball 4. Second walk today for Casey Mulholland, a pitcher that we saw back on July 3rd at Arnie Allen Diamond. A start where he went 5 innings and it didn't allow any walks. He was pretty good. Now, he did hit 2 batters, but was pretty good about keeping the ball on the plate. So Taylor advances to second with the Wiseman walk. First and second, nobody out for Jamison Fisher. Mulholland comes to the set. No one near second base as the infielders are ranged to their original positions. Fastball in for a strike, 0-1 to Jamison.
The other thing about Leftwich being pulled, and you made mention of how hard Connor Hale's ball was hit. Connor Hale is one of the best hitters on one of the best college baseball teams in the country in LSU.
0-1 pitch. Fisher squares, then pulls back. It is a strike, though, because he clearly missed on a curveball that was low and in towards his shins. The runners were far off the bases, too. No throwdown from O'Brien. Jamison Fisher, in his last 10 games, 13 for 34. An average of .390 has been great since some time off. 0-2. No tempt as it misses outside. A fastball at 89 from Mulholland. Talked with Varun Raghupathi, broadcaster for the Falmouth Commodores prior to today's game. Mulholland is very similar to what you'll get from Matt Hall, the ace of the staff for Falmouth. Hall's a big changeup guy, the 1-2. Curveball misses away, and what better way to say it, Mulholland a big curveball guy. So 2 pitchers that don't throw very hard. They throw in the high 80s, low 90s time to time, but work their best with off-speed. Still nobody out. First and second, 2-2 the count on Fisher. Kettleers hold a 2-1 lead, looking for more here in the 4th as Mulholland bluffs towards second.
But going back, and this is the final thing I'll say on Leftwich, is that good hitters sometimes hit good pitchers hard. You can't just pull a guy because of one hard hit ball.
2-2. Fisher nubs it towards short, caught on the line. Newman throws to second base for the out. Very similar play to what got Taylor out there, exactly what he did the previous half inning defensively. A line out to shortstop, except Newman has to use the second baseman Morrison to get the double play.
Deja vu all over again. A similar hit ball, not nearly hit as hard as Connor Hale's ball hit to Logan Taylor, but clearly Logan Taylor did not get a good read on that coming off second base.
Fastball outside to Hendricks to start his at-bat. Brendan 0 for 1, grounded to shortstop to lead off the 3rd inning. Lets the bat hold and point out towards the mound. Now he holds it close as he wiggles it close to his body. The pitch. Off on the pitch, Wiseman. Throw down to second, gets by Newman into center field. Wiseman still stares at the ball as he glides into third base. Now he's being waved around. The throw comes in from Gillikin, cut off by the pitcher, Mulholland. Wiseman all the way in to score. Some bad defense and bobbling out in center field by Sam Gillikin. 3-1, Kettleers.
I think you got to give 2 errors on that play because Gillikin was just fumbling with that ball for such a long period of time. They're only going to give 1, and that's going to go on Cameron O'Brien, the catcher. But Gillikin's throw from center field, oh my God, it looked like a poof ball.
1-1 to Hendricks. Fastball away at 90 miles per hour, 2-1. A poof ball.
I mean, he looked like
What
with
is
that.
that?
I mean, he looked like with that throw, he was like trying to catch a bird that was flying above the field.
2-1 pitch to Hendricks. Fastball, line to the right side, falls in, a base hit. Just in front of Duggar. Takes a couple of hops into his glove. Base hit for Brendan. He's 1 for 2.
We'll have to check after the half inning, but I would imagine that that run would not be earned, but after the single by Brendan Hendricks, you can't really retroactively figure out what situations are going to be scored, but possibility that Casey Mulholland could have given up 3 unearned runs.
Rhett Wiseman scores this half inning as Fincher squares around and pulls away. Did go around, though, on the pitch. No, says Steve Leonardo. Holds up the 1 sign on his left arm. 1 ball, no strikes. Kettleers lead 3-1. As Hendricks leads from first, a 2-out single to right field. 1-0. Fincher stares at a fastball, low and away. The right-handed hitter from NC State, 1 for his last 19. At one point this season, was the best hitter in the Cape Cod Baseball League, an average of 405. 2-0. Fincher, a half-hearted swing. He misses. 2 balls, 1 strike. And now, joining us up in the broadcast booth, we'll have him on next half inning because we don't want to interrupt our conversation. It's Drew Jackson's father, Peter Jackson, up in the broadcast booth here at Lowell Park.
Let's run a roll. Let's just stick with the roll.
2-1 pitch to Fincher. On the outside corner. Drew's dad has just informed us that the Kettleers are on a roll, so he doesn't want to come on the air and jinx it. So Fincher has a 2-2 count with 2 outs in the 4th inning. As Hendricks leads from first base, Mulholland comes to the set just below the belt. 2-2. Fincher nubs it off his right cleat foul. Stays 2-2.
This is going to be a legendary conversation, I have a feeling. Mr. Jackson is going to provide, not to be confused with the director of The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson. I think that Drew's father is a much better looking dude than that guy.
I can tell you about his press box.
2-2. Fincher lines it down the left field line. Falls foul. Good piece of hitting by Jake.
I understand now why you guys are so tan on your left side with this window to the left, but the sun is beaming in on you.
We've got Peter Jackson informing us of our skin color now. 2-2 the count on Jake Fincher. Stick with us for a fun conversation with Drew Jackson's father after this break. 2-2 foul to the right, out of play. What's the name of that character, the main character in Lord of the Rings?
Frodo.
Frodo. You don't look like Frodo, Mr. Jackson.
Fortunately, he doesn't look like Bilbo either. I know a couple people who look like Bilbo the Hobbit.
Precious. 2-2. Fastball popped up into shallow left center. Newman gives it a run. So doesn't White, and he comes in to make the catch just in front of Sam Gillikin. Kettleers add a run. It's now 3-1 through 4 innings. Coming up during the 5th inning, Drew Jackson's father, Peter Jackson, joins us in the broadcast booth. Through 4 at Lowell Park, 3-1 Kettleers on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleeers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleeers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast.
Welcome back here to Lowell Park, and we're now joined, myself and Brendan Glasheen, by Peter Jackson, the father of Drew Jackson, also the father of former Kettleer and current Iowa Cubs prospect Brett Jackson. Peter Jackson. Well, you wish that you were playing minor league baseball for the Chicago Cubs, but you were here for a week last year. You're here for a week this year, and obviously the Kettleers have been in your blood for a long time with your son Brett having played here, as well as Jake Madsen steps to the plate for the Falmouth Commodores. But, I mean, what's it like having had the Kettleer family in your blood for so long?
Well, I'll let you call this first pitch.
First pitch on the way from Fiore to Jake Madsen. Misses high and in for ball one. Madsen on the ball game, 0 for 1 with a strikeout.
I think the thing about the Cape is that, you hear a lot about it. And
1-0, misses inside, 2-0.
You hear a lot about it when you're bringing your kids up as prep kids, that, boy, if you ultimately get to play in the Cape someday, that must mean you must be pretty damn good. And in the case of on that foul ball back that took a windshield out, I'll tell you that I never thought my oldest son or Drew or anything else would play more than Little League ball.
2-1, hit on the ground, foul. Count even up at 2-2 on Madsen.
And it just keeps going. I mean, it's kind of tough when you got a 26-year-old playing, and you got a 20-year-old playing, and I got a 17-year-old playing, and you keep thinking it was going to end in 8th grade. I'm blessed. But every day there could be anywhere between 3 and 4 games, and so depending on what they do, my mood shifts.
Fiore stares in over the glove, lefty-lefty matchup. Madsen waggles the bat. He comes from Ohio University, home of the Bobcats. 2-2 offering on the way. Madsen slices it to Logan Taylor at short, takes a weird hop. Taylor recovers, fires on to first, just in time to get Madsen one away.
Now, how do you manage 3 sons that all want to play baseball, and how do you try to not only encourage them as baseball players, but how do you do all that and still try and be a father at the same time? That must be sometimes a difficult balance.
That's really a good question. It's a difficult balance because they're just human beings. They're just like normal kids. I think the celebrity part of it, and certainly playing in the Cape, to your earlier question, is you are a celebrity here. I mean, you watch the autographs that happen after the game, or, it's Brett's case. He said, God, it was really fun when he was in Boise, and there'd be a line out the door of autographs, and then when he got to Chicago, he had to sneak out through the center field fence to leave.
0-1 on the way to the new hitter, Sam Gillikin, who was left out on Gillikin's Island. They credit him with an error on the fumble and the bad throw-in that scored Rhett Wiseman. 1-1 the count. Fiore working quickly. Wines kicks and delivers the 1-1. Curveball away, count to 2-1. But I know I've talked to you about this off the air, but all of your family, yourself, your wife, Brett, everybody went to Cal until Drew. 2-1, hits the inside corner, count even at 2-2. And Drew goes to Stanford. I'm a Bay Area guy, as are you. I understand that rivalry. What was that like for you to say, well, my son's going to have to go to Stanford? 2-2, hit out, right to Jamison Fisher, nonchalantly flips the glove and catches it for out number 2.
Well, that was nonchalant. I mean, he just did that like nobody could. Like, hey, it's coming, I don't have to do anything. Use 2 hands, damn it. It was a good thing for Drew. I mean, Brett was an All-American at Cal and was a first-team pick for the Chicago Cubs, as you mentioned. And, Drew was getting recruited right after that. And, some people felt there's a fly ball.
First pitch swinging. Trevor Morrison hits it out to Jackson Glines. He settles under it, makes the catch. 1-2-3 inning for Vince Fiore. But we will keep it here as we have Peter Jackson, not the Lord of the Rings director, but the father of Drew and Brett. And your youngest son's name is Connor, correct?
Yes, Connor. I was going to finish that last part that when the Stanford thing started to happen, Brett got a scholarship to Stanford, and he made a conscious decision that he was born a Bear. Grandpa played for Pappy Waldorf in the 20s. Like you said, we're a big Bear fan. And Drew said, "I was no way in hell I'm going to end up at Stanford University," or as they said up at the Fenway yesterday, the University of Stanford. What happened was that he went to Cal, he got a nice offer, and the next day I said, "You're going to Stanford?" He says, "Oh, I don't really need to go. I'm going to go to Cal just like everybody else." And we made him go down there. And, when you walk the campus of Stanford and you know the history there, certainly with baseball and everything else, Drew's no stupid guy. And he came home that night and goes, "Dad, that is like the nicest place I've ever seen. What would you say if I actually went there?" I said, "I was trying to get you to have a little balance." So between his brother and the beautiful campus and everything else, I think it worked out great.
Well, hey, that's all I need to hear on that front. I mean, I like both schools. I've been a fan of both teams for a very long time. So, I mean, it's pretty cool that you're able to have that type of balance in your family. But going back to what you see in terms of Drew's future, he's got a year, possibly two, left at Stanford. And what's it been like, especially with Brett? You come out here and you watch all their games, but you don't have to drive from Orinda, basically more than about an hour and a half, if traffic's all right on 880, to be able to go see one of Drew's games. What type of privilege has it been for you to be able to essentially watch your sons play college ball in your backyard?
Well, I mean, as Norwood stands up, who I can't get over that home run, I'll answer your question in a second, that he hit, because I almost think it hit him in the eye in the College World Series if he hadn't hit it. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, I saw it, yeah.
It was an up and in, and he did it, and I don't think he landed on earth for like a couple hours afterwards, because I watched him walk around the dugout, and he looked like he was in another zone.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was an outside pitch or the inside pitch for strike one, and then so now he's 0-2, and I think he tried to hit that one like he did in the World Series. But so we got an 0-2 pitch on Nord, and I don't want to break into your play-by-play.
No, the reason we had you up here is so that you could break into it.
Take a little of the load off. You guys have been doing such a good job this year, and we listen to you every night, and the stereo speakers blast throughout our home or at the office. People are like, "What are you listening to?" But no, it's like I said, just watching them play in high school, you get goosebumps, with their uniforms, and then when they walk out, and there's a foul ball off to the right. When you have, it's 1-2 right now, but when you have that,
you're doing a good job of doing our job.
Well, when you have that opportunity to watch your kids grow up and play, I mean, we all want it. I mean, you guys are going to have kids and big families, hopefully, like I do. I have 4 kids, and like I said, I get to watch it and embrace it. Sometimes Katie goes, "This sport is killing us."
John Norwood on the
that ball hard.
Yep, right to Connor Hale, fires across in time to get John Dice Norwood, and Dice is a great nickname.
Oh,
I think so.
Well, I like Dice Clay, although I probably shouldn't say that on the air. But
I like this. It's play-by-play life lessons from Peter Jackson, as well as Drew and Brett and how the rest of the family's gone. This is a ton of stuff coming our way.
You guys would love the candor between my 3 sons. You asked about Connor, who's here tonight. He's out there in left field with the Lawsons. But, Connor's this big 6'4" pitcher. So the hard part now is, and that was ball 1, a little outside, a little off-speed pitch. But the thing about Connor, that's hit pretty good.
Jackson Glines hits it hard out to right field, but Stephen Duggar settles under it, makes the catch for the second out of the inning.
Well, anyway, the hard part for me with Connor is I'm used to my kids playing every day. And, Drew's not playing today. He hasn't been great at the dish here or at Stanford this year. So, watching your kids struggle, it's a lot easier now. I mean, I watched Brett struggle with the Cubs, hit 175 with, a lot of Ks. I mean, he was fanning those hot, humid people in Chicago. He did get 4 home runs. I got to see a couple of them in his first major league hit. But, that's a strike. He swung and a miss there. But anyway, to be honest with you, you start to discount what happens on the field, what people say, what the Twitter says. And Drew's, like I said, he's struggling. He's not playing. Or Connor doesn't play for 4 days because he pitches.
0-1 to Ebert, hits it on the line right to Kevin Newman. Picks it up, flips across, and a 1-2-3 inning for Casey Mulholland. And so before we go, Mr. Jackson, any final words that you want to leave our audience with?
Well, it's a great audience. I mean, you walk if you're listening and you're not in Cotuit, you've never been to Cotuit or been to the Cave, this is the finest community with the finest people. They're very down to earth, and they have a lot of love for this place. Stadium's redone, the stands are redone. It costs a lot of money to come to the games here. It's absolutely free. Unless you park your car real close by, then you might lose a windshield. But the announcers are great. It's one of the most beautiful parks in all of Cape Cod baseball. And whether you got a kid here or not, it's great to enjoy it. Thanks for having me.
Peter Jackson, father of Drew, and Brett Jackson, a current and former Kettleer. We thank you so much for coming on. We've got Reagan Bazaar and Grayson Jones waiting in the wings. We'll take a quick break and come back right after this.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
Back up in the broadcast booth, joined by Reagan Bazaar, big right-handed pitcher from Louisiana Lafayette. A 3-1 lead for the Kettleers as Vince Fiore returns to the hill for his second full inning of relief. Reagan, thanks for joining us here. Now, yesterday, or rather on Monday, feels like yesterday. We haven't had baseball in 2 days, but first time up here in the booth doing the raffle tickets today. And big outing for you. You looked nice and smooth in relief for the Kettleers on Monday against Orleans, a game the team didn't win, but your bullpen has had 12, 13 straight innings of scoreless ball until that run came from Jeff Kinley and Adam Witt later on. But personally for you, what was going well for you in that appearance?
You know what? I've been feeling really good lately. I've been throwing bullpens with Coach Roberts, on the off days and, days that I don't pitch, I'm throwing before the game. And, I've just been feeling really good. I've been spotting my fastball up really well. I'm working on a changeup that's coming along really nicely.
0-1 hit off the glove of Fiore. The throw to first not in time by the shortstop for the Kettleers, Logan Taylor. So a base runner on for Falmouth with nobody out in the sixth. Is Reagan Bazaar joining us here in the booth here in the sixth.
But, I've been working on a changeup. It's been coming along really nicely. And Coach Roberts is actually teaching me the spike curveball, which is, I'm working on it. I haven't thrown it in a game yet, but it's looking really good for me, and I'm just feeling good is the main thing.
Stephen Duggar, the batter of Clemson. Fiore comes to the set at the chest, the first pitch. Swearing around, Barrera fakes the throw to first as Hendricks bolts in down the third base line. Duggar able to shy away from that pitch on the square around, 1-0.
Now, Reagan, it must have been a very quick transition for you. Your school, Louisiana Lafayette, made a deep run in the NCAA tournament. So what was the process like? Because this is the first time we've had you up in the booth. What was the process like from the end of that series against Mississippi
1-0, a change up on the outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike,
to going home and resting in Texas to coming up here?
You know what? It was a really making it to the regional and then the super regional. Playing on that big stage, it was a really cool experience, especially since I was a freshman. It was my first year in college ball. So, that was really cool for me. It's disappointing, though, that we didn't get, where we wanted to, but still we had a really good year. And, I went home for like 4 or 5 days, and then I caught a flight up to Boston and then came here. And, it's been a really cool transition, a really cool experience for me, playing in this league against this competition.
1-2 hit on the ground by Ebert. He makes the tag, but he's taken out at second base by the runner, Matt Uresti. A collision with Ebert and Uresti on his run towards second base. The out made, a fielder's choice for Duggar. Ebert roughed up, but he's back to his feet. So 1 down here in the sixth. Reagan Bazaar joining us in the booth. Kevin Newman, the batter for Falmouth, now a 3-1 game Kettleers lead. Now, Reagan, you're a big guy, 6'8". You got a big frame. Now, we know Trey Wingenter's 6'7", as Mike Roberts now out to make a pitching change. But we'll keep it here with Reagan. They always say that, even scouts, they love pitchers that have those big frames, that tall, lengthy body, but you're not such a lanky guy. You're a big dude. How do pitchers with height and with a big frame, how do you take advantage of that? What are some of those things that are advantages for you?
The advantage probably for me is, the downhill playing on the ball. For hitters, that's really hard to hit. Something that's coming at you that starts at your head and ends at your feet. It's really hard to hit. So that's the main advantage. And the other one, it gets the ladies. Gets the ladies. So.
Well, speaking of getting the ladies, I mean, Reagan, this mustache that you've grown out since you've been here, I mean, dude, what
nice.
what is behind that? Is there any motivation behind that?
Yeah, me and Adam Witt, actually, we started growing the mustaches, a couple weeks ago. And then I'd like to say that it's this black, but it's actually I dyed it just for men. So but I've been pitching really good with it, so I kind of want to keep it, and I kind of like it. So it's growing on me a little bit. So I think I'm going to keep it for a while, at least till the summer's over.
I actually think it looks very, very good. Not on anybody. It looks a lot better on you than it looks on Adam Witt. So if that means anything for you,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it does. I actually like the stash.
Reagan Bazaar, thank you for joining us. Keep rocking the stash and keep it up with the Kettleer pitching staff, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, Reagan Bazaar joining us in the booth for the first time this year. And now coming on will be Grayson Jones. Jones coming off his second start with the Kettleers. New pitcher coming on, Ashton Parrott, right-hander from Liberty, warming up now with Trace Barrera. 1 out in the 6th inning if you're just joining us here in the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. A 3-1 lead for the Kettleers on the Falmouth Commodores. Visit number 4 between these two teams. And now Grayson joins us. First of all, how are you today, Grayson?
Pretty good. How about you?
We're doing well. So baseball hasn't been played for the last handful of days, but, you made another start for the Kettleers. It wasn't as smooth as you'd hope, but again, that first couple of innings, it seemed like you had something going for you.
Yeah, I was just first couple innings is trying to get back in the groove of starting since I haven't been pitching a whole lot since before I came up here. I was actually just pitching a couple innings at a time instead of actually starting. So I'm just getting back in the groove of things.
Now, I saw you yesterday here working camp, and you seem to always be in really good spirits. And how do you think, especially as a pitcher, where performances can go from anywhere from great to awful based upon the day, how does having a good attitude every single day help you do your job better?
Well, having a good attitude and staying positive, I mean, it always helps you in anything, especially baseball, because it's a game of failure, as people say. But being a pitcher, you're supposed to have more positives than negative, but just got to keep rolling with the punches if things go bad.
Ashton Parrott throws a first pitch fastball at 90 miles per hour inside to Kevin Newman. 1 ball, no strikes. Kevin today 0 for 1. Flew out to center in the first, walked in the 4th. As Parrott comes to the set at the chest, Barrera sets up outside the 1-0. Knocks the outside corner for a strike. Parrott 91 on the gun. 1 ball, 1 strike as Duggar leads from first. Now, Grayson, going forward, you mentioned how you made a start. You pitched normally as a starter at Shelton State. You made 12 starts there this past year, but you went to the pen to start out a little bit, then you went to starting. What's that transition been like, and do you think for now you're going to stay a starter?
I mean, I'd like to stay a starter, but it really doesn't matter to me. It's whatever's best for the team.
On the ground by Newman, and it gets away from Ebert into right. Good backup from Wiseman as he was charging in just behind Ebert as he fielded the ball. Does not make a play on it, though, so Uresti moves up. Rather, Duggar moves up to second base. Newman's at first. And I'm not sure what they'll score. They might give an error over to Ebert, but they may have scored at the base hit.
I think they did score at a base hit. Now, you seem like a guy also that has a really effervescent personality. The other night when Jordan Ebert was getting interviewed by the league, you and Travis Duke were doing what?
The wheelbarrows, some sprinkler action.
Saw some slow dancing,
Slow dancing like we were at prom or middle school dance all over again. Just having a good time.
Now, would you say Travis Duke is the class clown down in that bullpen?
Him, and when Berman was here, they both were. But now it's Travis Duke. Yeah, it's definitely the class clown.
What's it? Nate, tell us. I mean, of course, keep it PG on the air here, but tell us some stories with Duke down in the pen. It seems like he's always having a great time. He's always got a big smile on his face.
Yeah, he's a giggly guy. He has some jokes. Always has a big smile on his face.
0-2 pitch waved on and missed as Parrott goes fastball away at 93 to Hale.
He likes to quote a bunch of movie quotes like Ron Burgundy and stuff like that.
You see, I feel like, and it's too bad we can never have him up in the booth because he's the type of guy that's always going to be available to pitch every day. It's too bad. I mean, I think he would do a great job calling a game. But did you happen to hear Troy Wingenter's call of Jordan Ebert's home run?
I heard it many a time.
Curveball swung on and missed by O'Brien. 2 outs now. As Parrott checked in the game with runner at second base and Duggar. So Fiore done after an inning and 2/3, allows just 2 hits. Luke Leftwich was today's starter, went 3 2/3, allowed 3 hits, 1 run. The score 3-1. Kettleers lead on the Commodores. 0-1 pitch from Parrott. Change up outside corner at 85. 0-2 with 2 outs here in the 6th. So yeah, talk to us about what the reaction that not just yourself, but the entire bullpen, the entire pitching staff must have had a look at Wingenter's call there.
Everybody was watching it. It was pretty exciting. I mean, the home run itself was crazy. And then we didn't actually know he called it until when he got back in the dugout. I was like, yeah, I called up in the booth and I called it. He went wild. Everybody was shocked. It's all over YouTube and everything now.
Back-to-back strikeouts as O'Brien waves and misses at a pitch in the dirt. Barrera throws down to first to finish the out. So Grayson and Reagan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate the conversation, and hopefully the stash keeps growing. Now, you got to get one going here because you got something going a little bit.
But I shaved it right when I got up here. I wasn't growing it out, but I'm going to grow it out now.
Okay, all right. So he's got the lingo down. Yep. Everyone's on the same page. All right, well, Grayson Jones and Reagan Bazar. Also, Peter Jackson joining us in the last handful of innings, but thank you guys. We appreciate the time.
By Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts.
Back at Lowell Park, a 3-1 score between the Kettleers and Commodores. Trace Barrera looks at a fastball upstairs and away. The count 1-0 to the Texas catcher. Trace, a pair of groundouts over to the shortstop, Kevin Newman. With Greg Barraz, Brendan Glasheen here with you, the 1-0. A changeup low and in, 1 ball, 1 strike. Apologize for the lack of play-by-play the last handful of innings, although Peter Jackson, the father of Drew Jackson, was on a roll a bit that last 2 innings. The 1-1, Barrera ropes it down the third base line. A fair ball, says third base umpire, Jim Kelly. Barrera rounds first base. He's heading for second base. He trots in slowly, tags second base, and holds there. A leadoff double for Trace Barrera to begin the 6th.
What an awesome guy. Peter Jackson, I mean, that guy, I can tell. I met him last year when he came and visited Drew, and he was just as funny then as he was now, and, what a great interview. If we did not have to keep it PG, some of the things that he would have talked about, man, that would have really been fun.
And now Mike Landry, the pitching coach that makes all the pitching changes for the Commodores, out to talk after the double allowed by Mulholland. That's going to do it for his day as a reliever comes in from right field. The leadoff double for Barrera to begin the last of the 6th here at Lowell Park. You're listening to Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. 3-1. Kettleers still lead.
The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services. proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleears and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. The Kettleears and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
Back at Lowell Park, pitching change for the Commodores after a leadoff double by Trace Barrera against Casey Mulholland. The new pitcher into the ball game, Travis Stout.
Travis Stout from Jacksonville State, a 2.46 ERA. This his 11th appearance, over 11 innings pitched, 10 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned, 6 walks and 10 strikeouts.
Taylor squares around, pulls back, and looks at a curveball in the outside corner. No balls, 1 strike. Taylor today, 2 for 2 with a pair of singles, but was caught napping between first and second back in the second inning and was part of a 6-4 double play, tagged out, leading from second. Drops down a bunt on the third baseline. Picked up by Stout. The throw to first in time, just covering second base, Trevor Morrison. Barrera down to third with 1 out, and the Kettleears look to extend their lead by 1 run with Wiseman coming to the plate.
See, I don't even know if I agree with that call because it was a bang-bang play, and there's almost an assumption that that's supposed to be an out. That's why they call it a sacrifice, and Bill Fisher called Logan Taylor out at first, but I mean, based on our vantage point, I think he was safe.
Does the job anyhow, as Barrera goes down to third. Infield entirely in now for Falmouth. First pitch curveball low in the dirt towards the shoot tops of Rhett Wiseman. Right fielder from Vanderbilt. 0 for 1 today. A shot to right field that was caught back in the second inning. Walked and scored in the fourth. 1-0 pitch. Rope to the right, over the glove of the jumping Morrison. In to score Barrera. A base hit and an RBI for Rhett Wiseman. 4-1, Kettleears.
Good piece of hitting by Rhett Wiseman. Takes an inside pitch, and there are pros and cons to playing the infield in.
That was one of them right there.
If Morrison is at his normal position at second base, that is an easy line out. But because he's playing in, the ball's still rising on its descent. Morrison doesn't have enough time to make the play.
First pitch off goes Wiseman. Throw to second. The safe sign made by Kelly. Another stolen base for Rhett. Second today.
I'll tell you what, Cameron O'Brien is just struggling making throws down to second because that's the second time that Wiseman has gone and the second time that O'Brien has made a throw that has not even reached the infield dirt on the line of the second base bag.
Fisher looked at the pitch outside to throw over to second base. Nearly gets Wiseman. The way Newman had to lean over the base, he had 1 foot in the air. He was basically balancing himself like a ballerina to make that play. The count 1-0 on Fisher. Today he's 0 for 2. Grounded to second in the second inning, lined out to short back in the fourth. Stout is to the set at the belt. The 1-0. Popped up to the left side. Newman attempts to make a play on it. So does Boomer White in left. He makes the catch in shallow left just by the Tim point of the shadows. 2 down. So Fisher entering today with a batting average of .394 in his last 10 games is 0 for 3. Time for Brendan Hendricks. He's 1 for 2. Hendricks grounded to short in the third, singled in the fourth. Lets the bat point out towards the diamond. Stout to the set as O'Brien sets up outside. First pitch, a fastball at 86 on the inside corner, 0-1.
That looked like a pitch that would have been one that Brendan Hendricks would normally swing at. I saw where that landed, and I'm saying if Hendricks had that timed right, he would have crushed it.
A little bit slower than normal fastballs. The 0-1 popped up to left center. White over again, this time far to the left side. Makes the catch to retire the side. We're through 6 here at Lowell Park. The Kettleers add another run. It's now 4-1 Kituitt on the Falmouth Commodores. Kettleers baseball plays here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and Barnstable Mashpee, Channel 99, Channel 13 Sandwich. Stick with us.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Kituitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Kituitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Kituitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
Four to 1 the score here at Lowell Park. The Kettleers look to even the season series with the Falmouth Commodores at 2 apiece. Falmouth a 2-1 advantage as of right now. 6, 7, 8 come up to face Ashton Parrott. Greg, you made a good point off the air moments ago. Ashton Parrott pitched 4 innings in relief for Nick Eichholz 4 days ago on Sunday against the YD Red Sox, and Mike Roberts has gone with him again in today's game. First pitch to White, changeup, low and inside, 1-0.
And it shows. Parrott was throwing 92 to 94 the last time out against YD. He has not topped 91 today.
1-0 pitch on the way to White. Fastball popped up right behind home plate. Barrera barely has to move. He was a couple of steps. And now, nice play by Hendricks. He makes the call. It went from Barrera to calling it to Ashton Parrott calling for it. And then Hendricks sprints all the way in. He makes the call just in front of the dirt by home plate. Makes the catch for the first out of the 7th.
Parrott only faced 14 batters in those 4 innings of relief, but still, that's enough wear and tear on your arm. You look at the guys that are available in the bullpen. Vince Fiore had not pitched since Wednesday against Harwich, last Wednesday. That's over 8 days since Fiore last pitched. He goes an inning and 2/3, and he was pitching fine. I don't understand why you can't throw him more, or Leftwich more for that matter.
First pitch swinging, waved on and missed by Madsen. The count, 0-1. The only thing I could think of is that point there, 14 batters faced, but there's only 15 games left in the regular season. We know how competitive and how much Mike Roberts wants to win. The Kettleers, as of right now, sit 11 points out of first place in the Western Division, followed to the left by Madsen, 0-2. So first place looks unrealistic with 15 games left, but Kituitt really seems to be fighting for that second seed in the playoffs. They're 6 points behind the Commodores. But you were with the team last year. Kituitt won the championship as a number 3 team. Popped and flared to left field, but Taylor makes the catch on the lip of the grass, 2 down. So what I'm saying is he does go with Ashton Parrott again. The back-to-back days off with Fenway Park, as well as a rained-out game yesterday. I can understand your points completely about Leftwich should have gone longer. Fiore can go longer, but he's probably just saying, I'm going with the best guys in the best circumstances, and that could be what he's thinking. First pitch fastball at 94 on the outside corner to Sam Gillikin.
But the point that I'm going to make to counter that point is this. Parrott's been one of your best relievers other than Adam Witt or Jeff Kinley. You've got games coming up against YD, Harwich, and Orleans tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday.
0-1, fouled back into the backstop, 0-2. 2 outs here in the 7th. Kettleers lead 4-1 on the Falmouth Commodores.
You bring him in with a lead, and your pitching has been pitching well the entire day. I would have wanted to save Ashton Parrott for the game against Harwich or the game against Orleans, two teams that you are definitely facing that are better than you.
0-2, another foul ball into the parking lot. Hits the top of the roof. No windows broken this time. We'll have to inform Peter Jackson that everything's okay. But, yeah, I can see your point. And to remind people how good Parrott was, back on July 13th, just 4 days ago, a 13-2 win for the Kettleers. He pitched 4 innings, and another curveball waved on and missed. Strike 3. Parrott's got 3 strikeouts in an inning, rather 2 innings of work. We'll go to the last of the 7th. Stretch time at Lowell Park. Kettleers lead 4-1. We'll discuss more on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network right after this.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare.
Stretch time at Lowell Park concludes. We're in the last of the 7th. Travis Stout back on the mound for the Commodores. First pitch curveball sweeps across home plate to the right-handed hitter, Jake Fincher. 1 for his last 19. He's been struggling since getting that top spot. A single up the middle, a base hit. No play for the second baseman, Morrison. Fincher's got a hit. Hopefully this gets him going. A leadoff single here in the 7th. 4-1. Kettleers lead the Falmouth Commodores here at Lowell Park. Greg Mraz and Brendan Glasheen.
I think Jake Fincher was trying to do too much in the span of the past week where he's really been struggling, and this is a new spot for him. Not only is he hitting 9th in the order, but he's DHing, which is very odd considering how good of an outfielder he is.
John Norwood, the batter. Open stance. Takes a fastball low and inside. Gives a look back to Steve Leonardo, the home plate umpire, in disagreement. No balls, 1 strike on the big left-handed hitter, rather right-handed hitter from Vanderbilt. Waves the bat, the 0-1. Lets it go. Now off to second goes Fincher. Throw down. Not a problem. O'Brien's had a rough day, as you said, Greg, but makes the play over at second base to retire Fincher. 2-4.
Yeah, O'Brien made sure that he didn't short hop that throw. That throw was very high, but Trevor Morrison made sure that he was able to come up, get the ball, and come down and tag Fincher.
1-1 to Norwood, chopped out in front of the plate. Stout picks it up, takes his time. Curl hops once, throw to first in time to get John. 2 down in the 7th for Jackson Glines. But for Jake Fincher, off to a very hot start, still hitting .359 heading into today's game. So after the base hit, he's 1 for 3. But once he took over the lead for the batting average top spot in the Cape Cod Baseball League, that's when things started to go south. Jackson Glines takes a fastball up and away, 1 ball, no strikes. And now the leader is over at shortstop today for Falmouth, Kevin Newman. Now, we've said this the last time these two teams played on July 11th is the 1-0 to Glines. His shot to left center, a short run, though, And a basket catch made by Boomer White retires the side. Was just going to say there that Fincher is now going to go up against a Cape Leaguer that has won the batting title. Last year he could win it again in Kevin Newman. Newman will not, maybe, well actually Newman could come to the plate next half inning. We'll go to the 8th at Lowell Park. I'll stop running my mouth. It's 4-1 Kettleers on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
9-1-2 due up for the Falmouth Commodores against Ashton Parrott. Trevor Morrison steps to the plate. Morrison grounded out in the third and flew out to center to end the fifth. Ashton Parrott out. Once again, Parrott has been spectacular thus far. First pitch on the way to Morrison, breaking ball, misses low and away for ball one. Kettleers will be on the road tomorrow and Saturday against the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox and the Harwich Mariners. 5 o'clock and 5:30 starts respectively. 1-0, swing and a miss. Fastball at the dirt. Count to 1-1. Parrott so far an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, no walks. He's struck out 3. Parrott stares in. Starts in the stretch, righty-lefty matchup, 1-1 on the way to Morrison. Morrison slices it out to left field. Norwood on his horse. He got a bad jump, went forward, then goes back. He makes the catch for out number 1. Morrison retired, and the order turns over for the hot-hitting Matt Uresti. Uresti, 2 for 3, doubled and scored. Falmouth's only run in the 4th. He singled and was forced out at second after he literally ran over Jordan Ebert, who was tagging him in the second base line. Uresti from San Jacinto Community College in Texas. First pitch breaking ball taken for a strike. 0-1. Owen on the way. Fastball. Misses low and away. Count even at 1-1. A Coca-Cola of Cape Cod scoreboard update on the other side of this 8th inning. Tell you what other action is going on around the league. 1-1 count. Parrott sets, delivers the 1-1. In the dirt. Goes off of Trace Barrera's shin guard. Counts 2-1. But Kettleers warm-up will start tomorrow at 4:40. The Kettleers face the Whitey Red Sox for the second time in 4 games. Parrott sets, delivers 2-1. Uresti hits it up the middle. Ebert dives for it. He picks it up, fires at first, not in time. Matt Uresti is now 3 for 4. And for a junior college guy, Jeff Trundy has a lot of trust in junior college guys. Uresti was hitting .278 coming into today's ball game. That average is going to up. But a 1-out base runner brings up Steven Duggar. Duggar 1 for 3, singled, stole second in the 4th. He was forced off the bag at second when Connor Hale lined into an unassisted double play to Logan Taylor. Commodores need runs, and they need them fast. There is some action loosening in the Falmouth bullpen. There's also some action in the Kettleers bullpen. Adam Witt and Travis Duke loosening. First pitch, swing and a miss. Duggar cuts through a fastball. Counts 0-1. Duggar hit 300 as a freshman at Clemson. Hit 294 this season. That stolen base was his 13th on the year. That leads all Falmouth Commodores. 0-1 fastball misses low and in. Count even up at 1-1. The next closest guy in terms of steals is Kevin Newman. He's got 7. And after him, it's Uresti with 3. So while Duggar and Mike Roberts is having a discussion with home plate umpire Steve Leonardo, Roberts is going to trot out, and now Craig Moody, the trainer, comes out. There might be something wrong with Ashton Parrott. They're looking at Parrott's hand. What on his hand, we can't say. But as we mentioned earlier, Ashton Parrott pitched 4 innings this past Sunday. Don't have an exact pitch count on you, friends, for that one. But Parrott's okay. He's staying out there. Coach Roberts having a discussion with home plate umpire Steve Leonardo as he walks back to the dugout, and Craig Moody, the trainer, goes back into the dugout as well. All's well that ends well, seemingly. Count at 1-1 on Steven Duggar. Uresti, short lead at first. Jamison Fisher holds him on, but not holding him on very closely. In fact, his foot isn't even on the bag. 1-1, fastball misses away. Count to 2-1. Newman, the right-handed hitter, on deck. Connor Hale is also a right-handed hitter. Witt may come in if necessary if Parrott gets in more trouble. 2-1, nubbed foul towards the Kettleer dugout. Count even up at 2-2. But after today's ball game, 4 straight games against Eastern Division opponents. Check that. Make it 5 straight games against Eastern Division opponents. 2-2 on the way. Fastball away. Count goes to full 3-2. Tomorrow at YD. Saturday at Harwich. Home on Sunday against Orleans. Away on Monday at Brewster to make up yesterday's rainout. And home on Tuesday against Chatham. The road game a week from yesterday against Bourne. Payoff pitch. Hit high to right center field. Glines going on it. He's at the wall. He reaches up. It goes off the fence. Uresti not running hard at all. He's only able to get to third. Duggar into second with a stand-up double. And Falmouth's in business. Second and third with only 1 away. That ball kept carrying. It did not look like it was hit that hard. But Glines was running full speed from the onset. Matt Uresti, on the other hand, and Mike Roberts is making the move to the bullpen. Has not indicated, and he's making a sidearm motion. The Vulture, Adam Witt, coming in. And we'll be back.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
Top of the 8th inning, 1 out. Matt Uresti at third, Steven Duggar at second. Adam Witt comes on in relief of Ashton Parrott. Witt on the season, a record of 4-0, making his 13th appearance, 26 innings pitched, a 1.04 ERA, 15 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, 9 walks, and 24 strikeouts. Witt leads the team in innings pitched and strikeouts, even though he has not made a start on the season. It's now time for our Coca-Cola of Cape Cod scoreboard update. Reward yourself. Have a Coke. The only other game in action right now, top of the 4th inning at McKeon Park in Hyannis. Brewster and Hyannis, no score. About to get started out at White House Field in Harwich. Wareham travels to face the Harwich Mariners. Wareham is only 2.5 games behind the Hyannis Harbor Hawks for 4th place, so every game important to both Hyannis and Wareham. Pre-game at Eldridge Park in Orleans. Bourne and Orleans, the best team in the Western Division against the second best team in the Eastern Division. And pre-game out at Veterans Field in Chatham. YD in Chatham yet to get started. So Kevin Newman, the league leader in average right now, came into today's ball game hitting at a 400 even clip. Witt sets in the stretch. First pitch on the way to Newman. Sweeping fastball, misses low for ball 1. Newman from Arizona, as we've mentioned before, a returning Falmouth Commodore, was the league leader in hitting last year. Hit .375 for the 2013 Falmouth Commodores, a team that could really mash. 1-0, fastball misses low and in, counts 2-0 on Newman. They had a murderer's row of sorts, a lineup of guys who could hit home runs. Reese Hoskins, Casey Gillespie, Dylan Davis, and Kevin Crone batted 3 to 6 every game in that order. 2-0 offering on the way. Breaking ball misses high and away. A 3-0 count on Kevin Newman. Jeff Kinley and Travis Duke, 2 lefties, are now loosening in the Kettleers bullpen. As I see him walk in the stands, also want to wish a happy birthday to Richard Sawyer, the Catuit Kettleers treasurer. 3-0, fastball, taken at the knees on the outside corner for a strike, count to 3-1. So happy birthday, Richard. Richard Sawyer, one of the many friends of our broadcast crew. Richard's been very good to me in my time here at Catuit, so happy birthday, Richard. 3-1 on the way. Fastball misses well low and well outside. Jam is an understatement. Bases loaded. The tying run stands at first in the form of Kevin Newman, and Connor Hale steps to the plate, the Falmouth Commodores leader in home runs and RBIs. Coming into today's ball game, Hale had 3 home runs that led the Falmouth team, and 17 RBIs that also led the Commodores. Hale doesn't walk much, though. First pitch on the way to Connor Hale. Fastball, taken to the knees for a strike on the inside corner. 0-1 the count on Hale. Hale lined out into a big double play. A bases-loaded situation like this one. Lined out to Logan Taylor. He tagged second base and forced out Steven Duggar. Hale pops the 0-1 over the screen behind home plate. Count to 0-2. Cameron O'Brien stands on deck. Matt Uresti at third. Steven Duggar at second. Kevin Newman at first. 4-1 Catuit here in the top of the 8th. 0-2 the count on Connor Hale, the third baseman from LSU. Witt in the stretch. Kettleers have the corners in, up the middle back. Hale chops it right to Adam Witt. Witt will flip to first to get Connor Hale. He looked home, but decided not to throw. Uresti scores. Falmouth adds a run. It's now 4-2 Catuit. An RBI ground out by Connor Hale. Scores Uresti. It moves the runners up. Steven Duggar to third. Kevin Newman to second for Cameron O'Brien. And a big spot here. O'Brien's a lefty. The last time that O'Brien came up in a big situation back in the 4th, Mike Roberts pulled Luke Leftwich, the starter, for Vince Fiore, a left-handed pitcher. First pitch fastball. Outer paint, taken for a strike. 0-1. O'Brien's had a good day. At the plate, that is. 2 singles and RBI. He also struck out. But he's made 2 bad throws to second, one of them which sailed into center field and allowed Rhett Wiseman to score. O'Brien hits it on the ground, right to Ebert. Ebert picks it up, flips to first in time to get Cameron O'Brien. Commodores had a run, but it could have been much worse. Adam Witt comes in and does the job. Led to the bottom of the 8th inning. Still, Kettleers cling to a 4-2 lead.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
3-4-5, 2 up for the Kettleers against the new pitcher, the left-hander, Nicholas Cooney from Wesleyan University, located in Hartford, Connecticut. Cooney making his 7th appearance. He's started 2 games, 13 innings pitched, a 5.54 ERA, 13 hits, 9 runs, 8 of them earned, 6 walks, and 14 strikeouts. Cooney to face Jordan Ebert. Ebert on the day is 1 for 2. First pitch to Ebert, a fastball high and away for ball 1. Ebert got run over by Matt Uresti. And I mean run over. Fielding a ball. Fastball high and in. Counts at 2-0. Uresti, back in the 6th, was forced out by Ebert on a ground ball by Steven Duggar. Ebert went over to tag him. 2-0 on the way to Ebert. Sliced foul to play to the right side. He had the green light. 2-1 the count on the Kettleers second baseman from Auburn. And like a running back going through a weak defensive back, he went Marshawn Lynch and just ran over him. 2-1, Ebert hits it high down the first base side. Jake Madsen gives chase for it, but it goes out of play. Count even up at 2-2. Kettleers have not faced Nicholas Cooney so far this season. As we said, he comes from Wesleyan University, which is located in Hartford, Connecticut. 2-2, Ebert slices it out of play to the right side. It's the original Wesleyan. There's a Wesleyan system throughout the United States. Former Kettleer Tim Keeney, who played the first 3 years of his college career at Maryland, Ebert slices a 2-2 foul, transferred this past year from Maryland to Tennessee Wesleyan. I was actually recruited to play golf very hard by Ohio Wesleyan, located in Delaware, Ohio. 2-2 on the way to Jordan Ebert. Hits it high down the right field line, foul, and Ebert doing a good job of keeping this battle alive with, I was about to say Nick Wesleyan, Nick Cooney. But Wesleyan in Hartford is the original Wesleyan. 2-2 offering on the way. Ebert hits it foul down the third base side. I know one girl that goes to Wesleyan. Rebecca Waxman, if you happen to be listening, which you probably aren't, but you go to Wesleyan, and hi. Ebert hits it 2-2 out to center field. Gillikin charges. He comes in, makes the play. After a long battle, Nick Cooney forces out Jordan Ebert. Brings up Trace Barrera. There's another girl I went to high school with that went to Illinois Wesleyan. But there's some religious affiliation with the Wesleyan school. I don't know what it is. First pitch on the way to Barrera. Fastball taken on the inside corner for a strike. Barrera doubled and scored back in the 6th. He is the Kettleers' 4th run scored of the ballgame. 4-2 Katuitt here in the bottom of the 8th. Barrera skies the 0-1 pitch out of play behind the press box. Counts 0-2. Falmouth has committed 3 errors. 2 runs on 8 hits for the Commodores with those 3 errors. Kettleers, 4 runs on 8 hits. They've committed no errors. 0-2 on the way. Fastball low and in. Count to 1-2 on Barrera. 3 of the 4 runs that the Kettleers have scored today have been unearned. All of them charged to Casey Mulholland, the starter. 1-2, Barrera pops it up. Shallow right field. Trevor Morrison settles under it, makes the catch on the back of the infield dirt for out number 2. Brings up Logan Taylor. Taylor on the day. 2 for 2, a pair of singles. He got picked off, and he also laid down a sacrifice bunt. We'll try and have Logan Taylor up in the booth after the ball game for our Star Kettleers segment. Taylor waggles the bat. First pitch on the way. Breaking ball, misses low and away for ball 1. Had the pleasure of, at Cape League Scout Day, sitting with Logan Taylor's host mom and host brother. 1-0 on the way. Fastball, taken to the knees for a strike. Count to 1-1. There was a great segment, or a great piece, in the Boston Globe this morning about Cape League players and their host families. 1-1 breaking ball, misses low and in. Count 2-1 on Logan Taylor. The Boston Globe profiled one player from every Cape League team and their experience with their host family. 2-1, fouled back to the screen. Count even up at 2-2. 2's across the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Kettleers player that was profiled was Bailey Clark. He's the only player that was profiled, and they must have done it early in the process because he's no longer on the team. Wine kick in the 2-2 on the way from Cooney. Swing and a miss. Logan Taylor cuts through a fastball. He'll walk back to the dugout. A 1-2-3 inning from the Wesleyan left-hander. Commodores need 2 to keep this ball game going. We'll head to the top of the 9th. 4-2 Katuitt. Keep it locked right here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and Comcast Channel 99 from Mashpee to Chatham and Channel 13 in Sandwich.
Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
6, 7, 8 due up for the Commodores here in the top of the ninth inning against Adam Witt. Boomer White, the transferee to Texas A&M, first pitch right down Broadway for strike one. Boomer White is 5 for his last 34. Grounded into an inning-ending double play in the second. Grounded out to a force out to end the fourth. Fastball at the knees. Taken for strike two. And he popped out right behind home plate. Something has happened with Boomer White, who was one of the best hitters in the Big 12 this year, hit over 300, but decides to transfer away. And ever since he made that announcement, 0-2, fastball misses well away. Good waste pitch from Adam Witt. He's just been off. I mean, there's no way to explain it. You start basically every game your first 2 years at TCU, a team that was best in the Big 12 this year and made it to the College World Series. 1-2, hit on the ground. Logan Taylor ranges to his right, throws off balance in time to force out his future teammate, Boomer White. 1 out.
That's a nice play right there by Taylor. Again, another play in which the ball goes away from his body, away from the glove side, and instead of fielding it on the backhand and making a stride towards first, he does the old Derek Jeter play, hangs in the air and throws across his body to retire the first out.
Brings up Jake Madsen, first baseman from Ohio, 0 for 3, a strikeout, a ground out, and a pop out. First pitch on the way. Fastball misses away. 89, says the gun. That's the fastest that I think I've seen Adam Witt throw all year. Count to 1-0. Madsen steps in, fouls the 1-0 back. Count even up at 1. There was a great feature by Cape Cod Times writer Meredith Perry on Jake Madsen's experience at Cape League Fenway Day. Sounds like he was in awe. A kid who had never been to a Major League ballpark in his life. 1-1, fouled over towards the Kettleerslive Snack Shack. Count to 1-2. Those are always great experiences. First time in a Major League ballpark. I remember my first Major League Baseball game. I was 5 years old. Candlestick Park in San Francisco, a stadium that is about to be demolished. 1-2, check swing. Appeal down to third, and third base umpire Jim Kelly says no swing. Count even up at 2 on Madsen.
My first game was when I was 8 years old in 2002. Red Sox and Indians at Fenway.
2-2, swing and a miss. Great changeup from Adam Witt. Madsen goes down swinging. Down to their last bullet are the Falmouth Commodores, and it comes to the plate in the form of Sam Gillikin.
You know, I'm sure as you reflected on that last inning for Witt on the mound, second and third for Cameron O'Brien, a guy who struggled defensively today, could have really come through. That was the best chance for Falmouth, and Witt has come into the ninth and really started to shut the door as he has all year.
First pitch, breaking ball misses low and away to Sam Gillikin. He's 0 for 3. Witt sets and delivers. Hit on the ground to short. Taylor picks it up, takes his time, fires to first in time, and that's the ball game. The Catuit Kettleears beat the Falmouth Commodores for the second time this season. The series is even up at 2 apiece. Kettleears improve to 14-15-1. They beat Falmouth 4-2.
Another one of those games where you can mark down for the Kettleears a complete effort. Luke Leftwich got the game started with solid starting pitching. The Kettleears do have to use 4 pitchers due to Mike Roberts' preferences, but the job done, and the Kettleears get a solid win today here at Lowell Park. Some defensive mishaps for Falmouth also allowed Catuit to dig into this one and get a good win. The Kettleears continue to show great success against Western Division opponents, including the 2 teams with them in the race right now, Bourne and this Falmouth club.
Kettleears Insider post-game show coming up after the break. Brendan Glasheen will be bringing up Logan Taylor into the booth as our star Kettleear of the ball game. We'll take a quick break. Kettleears Insider post-game coming up right after this.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleears and Catuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleears and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleears Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast.
It's time for the Kettleears Insider Post-Game Show on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. With a wrap on tonight's game, here's Greg Moraz and Brendan Glasheen.
It wasn't a pitcher's duel, but the equivalent is appropriate to describe today's ball game. 4 Kettleear pitchers combined to limit the Falmouth Commodores, who were second in the league in average coming into today's ball game at a 276 clip, to 2 runs. Kettleears win 4-2 here at Lowell Park. Both teams are undefeated on their home fields, but this is the last time, and it was very odd the way that the schedule worked out this year. The Kettleears did not face the Falmouth Commodores until July 3rd. This was the last team that Katuitt had yet to face on the season. It's July 17th, exactly 3 weeks later. 4 times in the span of 14 days have the Kettleears faced the Falmouth Commodores. They will not face Falmouth again until August 2nd right here at Lowell Park. And then the next day on August 3rd to close the season at Arnie Allen Diamond in Falmouth. Here's the recap on tonight's ballgame, friends. A 1-2-3 inning in the first for Luke Leftwich. He got off to a great start. In fact, Leftwich was extremely efficient. In his 3 2/3 innings pitched today, he only allowed 44 pitches to be thrown. But Mike Roberts has his preferences in terms of, like Brendan Glasheen said, what he wants to do in terms of the pitching staff. Kettleears got a rally started in the second with a leadoff single, but Logan Taylor was picked off. Then things got started in the third. Jordan Ebert singled home John Norwood, who had singled and stolen second. Jackson Glines had walked. But, well, actually, let's go back a minute. An infield single. Jordan Ebert gets on. It was ruled a single regardless of the throw. But Kevin Newman's throw was so bad at short that it flew all the way to the back fence on the right side. It allowed John Norwood to score, and it also allowed Jackson Glines to come home and score. So, that is how Katuitt got off to a 2-0 lead. Now, we talk about shutdown innings, and Falmouth was able to come back in the fourth and get a run. But it could have been a whole lot worse. And I mean, it really could have been a whole lot worse. Matty Resti led off with a double. Stevens Duggar singled. And that allowed Kevin Newman to come to the plate. He walked. So that loads the bases for Connor Hale. Connor Hale ripped a pitch off of Luke Leftwich, lined it right back to Logan Taylor. He caught Steven Duggar snapping off of second base, goes and tags the base. That's an unassisted double play. Cameron O'Brien then comes back and he singles off of new pitcher Vince Fiore. That was the end of Luke Leftwich's day. Uresti came home and scored. That was the only run that Luke Leftwich allowed. And then Boomer White grounded into a fielder's choice at second. That forced out Cameron O'Brien. So it's 2-1 at that point. Katuitt comes back in the fourth. A leadoff single by Logan Taylor. Rhett Wiseman walked. On a 6-4 double play, a very similar play to what had happened. Jamison Fisher lines out to Kevin Newman at short. He comes back and he tags the second base bag. But then, Rhett Wiseman who is on via the walk, a bad throw trying to steal second, goes into center field. He comes around and scores on a bad throw by Sam Gillikin. That made it 3-1. The Kettleers would then add a run in the 6th on an RBI single by Rhett Wiseman. Falmouth would get a run back in the 8th, but they get the last two guys to ground out and strike it, and last two guys to ground out. Adam Witt gets out of a jam. And that's basically where we leave it. Logan Taylor is our star Kettleer of the ball game. The first time that we've had a chance to have him up in the booth. And Logan, you've been the epitome of consistency this whole season. You hit the ball well today. You've gotten into a good groove as the starting shortstop. I mean, how good does this performance today feel for you?
It feels good. I'm just feel like I'm seeing the ball pretty good and just taking some pretty good swings at it and just getting lucky. And all the guys are playing real hard and making it fun for sure.
Now you're 9 for your last 22 at the plate. You just said you've been able to hit some good pitches. What's it like, though, defensively? You've been a mainstay. You're a guy that's played every game this year for Mike Roberts. Do you take pride in that, to get on the field every single game and play every day?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, wherever he wants me, I'll definitely give my best. And it doesn't matter to me if it's third, short, or right, or anywhere. As long as I'm just going to try my best and do what I can to help the team win for sure.
You, in your short time here, obviously, this is a team, this Falmouth Commodores team, that you guys have played 4 times in the span of the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Now, the rivalry has always been between Cotuit and Hyannis, but based on the games that you guys have played this year, every game has been decided by 2 runs or less. Do you think this is the 2014 Cotuit Kettleers' biggest rival?
I guess it could be. I don't know if it's a rival. I know that all the games we play seem like they're pretty good, pretty close, and come down to 1 or 2 runs, but these guys are really fun to play against and really good, so it's just a good time.
And as crazy as it seems, Logan, you only have 14 games left in this season. You guys are sitting at 3rd place right now in the Western Division. This is the point in the year now where you really look at the standings and you want to hope to make a run to close the year. Is that the mindset now in the clubhouse? You had these last 2 days off with Fenway Park and the rain out, but now this is starting to come real. It's 14 games left, and this is the home stretch here.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is don't get ahead of ourselves and just play one game at a time. And if we do that, I feel like we'll have a better shot of making it and winning more ball games.
Well, Logan, thank you very much for joining us up in the booth. Logan Taylor, our star Kettleer of the ball game. Thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow.
Appreciate it. God bless.
That was Logan Taylor, our star Kettleer of the ball game, as he heads back down to join his teammates. And Brendan Glasheen rejoins me up in the broadcast booth. And we have a couple more housekeeping things to discuss here. But I was going over in the first part of the Kettleers Insider Post-Game Show while you went down to fetch Logan that there are a couple situations today that really stand out for me. And the Kettleers score 2 runs in the bottom of the 3rd. We've talked about shutdown innings this year and how it's been a big trouble for the Kettleers. The 4th inning, Luke Leftwich loaded the bases. Logan Taylor may have made the play of the ball game, and if he doesn't make that play, if Connor Hale's line drive is anywhere other than right in Logan Taylor's glove, if it's a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, this game probably ends up different because both runs score, Duggar and Uresti, and, I mean, this could have been a completely different result because as much as you want to say that Cotuit outpitched Falmouth, Casey Mulholland, he gave up 3 runs. None of them were earned.
Yeah, a game, you absolutely nailed it. I mean, it's a big play in a situation that doesn't seem as big of a deal at the moment, considering when you fast forward to this ball game, that even when Adam Witt came in to get 2nd and 3rd and gets that key ground out to end the half inning in the 8th, I mean, those are both scenarios where this game could have broke open, but of course you're adhering to earlier in the ball game. That play isn't made by Taylor. His instincts at shortstop have been terrific, and he mentioned it. He doesn't matter where he plays. He's played in every game this year for the Kettleers in all 30 ball games. He's played in right, he's played at 3rd, he's played at short, and he makes all the plays. A Texas League best shortstop last year. He makes a big play, and you're right. That completely changes the game, and you look back on it. Now you can say Mike Roberts made a good decision to go with Vince Fiore to close that inning, but again, a hard hit ball. Taylor reacts as he normally would, makes the catch, and tags the bag, and defensively, anywhere you've put him, he's been solid, and that's why you can't knock him if he does struggle at the plate sometimes. I joked with him, Greg, I should tell you, I joked with Logan on the walk-up. He says, I hope you still aren't holding a grudge about the beginning of the season, because there was a stretch to start the year where Logan Taylor was 0 for his last 13 at-bats, and we joked with him, and he said, it's no hard feelings, I'm just messing around with you guys.
Well, good, because the last time I went in the dugout, Logan Taylor was like, hopefully you don't say I'm over 10 with a hole in my bat in the last couple of games. But before we get into our last Coca-Cola of Cape Cod scoreboard update with Brendan Glasheen, you talked about, right after the ball game, before we started the Kettleers Insider postgame show, about how well the Kettleers have been against the Western Division. Well, until next Wednesday against Bourne, bye-bye Western Division. 5 straight against the Eastern Division, 4 of them being on the road. Tomorrow at Yarmouth Dennis, Saturday at Harwich, Sunday against Orleans. Sorry, I should say 3 of them on the road. Monday a makeup against the Brewster Whitecaps, and Tuesday at home against the Chatham Anglers. What do the Kettleers need to do? Because you look at the next 3 ball games. YD, despite beating them 13-2 back on Sunday, they're still a hot team with a very good pitching staff. Cody Poteet or Justin Hakame, yet to be determined who goes tomorrow. Both guys have been very good this year for Scott Pickler's club. Then you get Harwich on Saturday, a team that the last time you faced them, they got up 9-0 on you after 3 innings. And then Orleans comes to town, a team you haven't beaten yet this year, and has the best pitching staff in the entire league.
An Orleans team they've barely been able to score runs against, too. The first matchup here at Lowell Park was a 3-0 shutout that Orleans won, of course, in the game on Monday this past week, a 7-6 final. But you look at how they've done against the top teams in the Western Division, Bourne and this Falmouth club. Total against those teams, they're 5-3, which isn't bad, considering they've been able to take 2 against Falmouth and 3 against Bourne. Those are the 2 teams you know you'll see in the postseason, given the fact that we think Wareham is going to continue to slide at the basement of this division. But you said it, 5 straight against 5 different teams. All 5 Eastern Division clubs will come this team's way the next couple of days. The key for me is, can they set the tone early? That's been their struggle all year. You've mentioned those big blowout starts for the opposing matchups in the early innings. They've had a hard time getting into any rhythm against these Eastern Division teams. So the Kettleers have proven they can play in the big games against their divisional rivals like Bourne, like Hyannis, as well as Falmouth. But can they focus and get on a roll these last 14 games, 5 of them coming against teams in the East? The other key to this too, Greg, is we talked about the standings. Right now there'd be 5 points out of first place, depending on what the result is at Orleans tonight when Bourne takes on the Firebirds. This club can't pick up any ground, or as much ground as it normally would, in the division. So if they want to stay in the hunt in the West, they have to go on the road and here at Lowell Park take care of business against the East. That's crucial.
Kettleers are essentially in no man's land right now. They have 29 points after tonight's ball game. They are 4 points behind Falmouth. That might be attainable. They're 9 points behind Bourne. They're probably not going to reach that. They're 5 points ahead of Hyannis, who is 6 points ahead of Wareham. Hyannis is really all you have to worry about at this point, and they've been eternally sliding. But tomorrow against YD, we talk about how close the games have been against Falmouth. Every game's been decided by 2 runs or less. YD, the last 2 games, the Kettleers lost by 8. 9-1 at Red Wilson Field back in early June, the last time we visited YD. And here on Sunday, the Kettleers won by 11. What needs to happen tomorrow to make sure that neither of those results happens?
Well, I'll say this. You got the right guy going for you on the mound if you're the Kettleers. Trey Wingenter had the best start of the season from a Kettleer pitcher, no question. 6 innings pitched to get the win against against those YD Red Sox, I think. Who was it against?
He won against Wareham. I'm actually not even sure. We haven't even been told who the probable starter is. It's Logan James's turn in the rotation, I might imagine. But Wingenter is getting the call to go tomorrow.
Mike Roberts listed the probables in the lineup card today, so Wingenter will get the start tomorrow. I'll say this, Trey Wingenter is the right guy to set the tone, and that's exactly where I think that ball game heads. I think the Kettleers take care of business. They know what happened the last time they played at Red Wilson Field, an 8-run blowout, a game in which they were out of in the 3rd inning. So look for Wingenter to set the tone based on that last start. He's really set the nice pace and tone for this starting rotation. So I think Wingenter's the guy to turn to.
It's now time for our final Coca-Cola of Cape Cod scoreboard update of the ball game. Brendan, take us home.
What's funny is the 4 other games going on, there's only 1 run scored in all of them. Scoreless in the top of the 6th at McKeon Park, Brewster and Hyannis going at it at McKeon Park. White House Field in Harwich. The Mariners, with the only other run going on, they lead 1-0 on the Gateman in the top of the second. Bottom of the second in Orleans, the Braves and Firebirds going head-to-head, still a scoreless ball game. And also scoreless at Veterans Field in Chatham. YD Red Sox, so we'll see tomorrow. Scoreless against Chatham, they also have no runs. So only one run in the rest of the league going on right now.
Justin Hakame of UC Santa Barbara going for the YD Red Sox tomorrow against Trey Wingenter, the Kettleers ace from Auburn. Thank you so much for joining us. For my broadcast partner, Brendan Glasheen, I'm Greg Miraz. Again, the final, Kettleers have won their first game in a row. Well, I should say, they improved to 14, 15, and 1. They beat the Falmouth Commodores for the second time this year by a 4-2 final. Join us for Kettleers warm-up tomorrow starting at 4:40 at Red Wilson Field in South Yarmouth. For now, good night from Lowell Park, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to the Kettleers Insider Post-Game Show on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Tonight's broadcast has been brought to you by Chatham Bars Inn, Fuller Family Foundation, Curry College, iHealth Services, Cape Cod Healthcare, Coca-Cola, 99 Restaurants, Friendly's Ice Cream, Rockland Trust, Reebok, and the Baseball Factory. For more Kettleers coverage, visit www.kettleers.org.